Okay, Assalamualaikum and good day. So today we will we will start with chapter 1 on the introduction to macroeconomics. So this is the learning objective. You will learn on the definition of macroeconomics and the difference between microeconomics as well as the macroeconomic objective from conventional and Islamic perspective. So economics itself can be divided into two, which are the microeconomics as well as macroeconomics. So micro means small. So microeconomics will focus on the specific units in the economy or at the household level, firms and government. So it focuses on the individual units in the economy, consists of household, firms and government. While macroeconomics, macro means big. So it will focus on a bigger picture. It will focus on the economy as a whole. For example, you learn about the economic growth or the national income, about the problem that usually occur in the country, for example, the inflation and unemployment problem. You will learn about the foreign exchange currency, on how the currency of one country can be exchanged into another currency, as well as the international trade or import-export activities. So for microeconomics, which focus on the individual units, so if you look in terms of the output, so microeconomics concerns would be on the individual firms, the output of the individual firms, while macroeconomics focus on the national output, the output of the product produced in overall for all industries. For price, microeconomics focus on a single item or individual goods. For example, how the demand and supply of chicken can determine the price of chicken. So you just focus on individual goods, while macroeconomics will focus on the general price level or the aggregate price level. So for macroeconomics, we will look in terms of the consumer price index. It will show the price in general. So when the consumer price index increase, it will show how much or how many percent of increase in the price level in the market. And finally, for income, in microeconomics, we learn on how the demand and supply of labor will determine the wages for the labor. But for macroeconomics, the concern is to determine the national income. And next, we move to the macroeconomic objective from the conventional perspective. So macroeconomic objective means that the goals of the government, what they are trying to achieve in the country. So first is to achieve full employment, or to ensure that there is no unemployment, or in other words, they want to make sure that the resources are fully utilized, because when we fully utilize the resources, that we can produce more output, and this can generate more income or more or higher economic growth. So the government target or government goals is to ensure that they can achieve full employment or no unemployment at all. Number 2 is to achieve price stability. Price stability, they want to make sure that the price remains stable in the market, because when price keep rising in the market, it will affect the citizens and it will affect the purchasing power of the money, because with the same amount of money, you cannot get as much product as before. So with the concern for these citizens, so they will make sure that they will intervene in the market by using a contractionary fiscal and monetary policy, as well as the direct control, such as the minimum and maximum price, to ensure that the price level in the market will remain stable. Number 3 is to achieve high and stable economic growth, that is to ensure that the economy keep growing at a fast rate every year. Number 4, to achieve an equitable distribution of income, or to ensure that there is no wide gap between the rich and the poor. So how can they narrow down this gap? Is by using the taxation system, such as by using a progressive tax, where a higher income need to pay higher percentage of tax compared to the lower income. And also they will provide the subsidies and other incentive or aids to help to narrow down the gap between the rich and the poor. And finally, they want to achieve the equilibrium in foreign sector, or in the BOP, that is to make sure that the balance of payment that shows the account or the flow of money from one country to another country is in equilibrium. Means whatever purchase made from foreign country, the imported product from foreign country, the payment can be covered with the receipt that we get for the exported product, so that the balance of payment remain in equilibrium. Next is the macroeconomic objective from Islamic perspective. So the target or the goals for the Islamic perspective is different. So the first objective that under this Islamic perspective is to achieve social justice. Social justice means that they want to make sure that all people are treated fairly in the country, and no people or no group of people that can get more power or get more benefit just because they have advantages in terms of economic, political or physical power. So no discrimination due to position, color or race. However, some inequality is allowed because it gives incentive to people to work harder. So if you work hard, then you deserve to get more than the other person. So they allow for some inequality based on the effort of that person. Number 2 is to achieve universal education, that is to make sure that all the citizens have the opportunity to get education, because they believe through education people able to change their future. So the government rules is to provide either free education, or they need to subsidize the education, so that to make sure that all individuals will get the chances to get education. Number 3 is to achieve optimal rate of economic growth. Means that they want the economy to grow, but still based on the Islamic principle. That is, they want the economy to grow, but according to Islamic ways. That is, the transaction must be based on the halal goods. They want to make sure that no riba involved in the transaction. So for the consumption, they want to make sure people only consume only consumable product. For the producer, only produce something that is consumable, do not produce something that is harmful for the people. Okay, so whatever they want to consume or produce in the economy must follow the Islamic ways or Islamic principle. So they want to make sure the economy keep growing, but according to the Islamic ways or Islamic principle. And finally is to maximize employment generation. That is, according to this Islamic perspective, economic growth should make contribution to the creation of new employment opportunities, but their focus is not to achieve the full employment, or not to focus on increasing the unemployment, but the focus is to make sure that people can get a quality job according to their skills and education, because this will help to increase the economic efficiency compared to the conventional perspective where their focus is full employment. For the Islamic perspective, it is more realistic because they want to increase the efficiency through the people who get a job according to their skills and education. So their focus is to maximize employment generation based on that person's skills and education. So in short, the differences between conventional and Islamic perspective are: first, for conventional, they want to achieve full employment, but the focus for Islamic perspective is to achieve to maximize employment generation. That is to make sure people get a quality job according to their skills and education. For conventional, they want to achieve price stability as well as no wide gap between rich and poor. But for Islamic, their focus is social justice. That is, all people should be treated fairly. For conventional, they focus on high and stable economic growth, but for Islamic, they are more realistic because they focus on to achieve optimal rate of economic growth and to make sure that the economy grow according to the Islamic principle. That is, it doesn't involve haram transaction, it doesn't involve any riba in the transaction. And finally, for conventional, the focus is to achieve equilibrium in foreign sector or balance of payment, while for Islamic, they are focused more on the education, to give people the opportunity to get education so that they can change their life.